A man has gone on trial for the murder of a father of two in a shopping centre car park at Leichhardt in Sydney's inner west. Brad Dillon was repeatedly stabbed and shot in 2014, allegedly after an argument with a Sydney fight club. The accused, Diego Carboni, was arrested by police.
From a ruthless Australian kickboxer to a notorious international fugitive, Antonio Bagnato's reign of terror includes the brutal murders of Brady Dillon and a Hells Angels member, Wayne Schneider. How did his deadly path of crime span continents, ending in a dramatic capture and long-awaited justice? Stay tuned to uncover the shocking details. Antonio's life began in Sydney, where he was drawn into the underworld at a young age. His early involvement in crime set the stage for his later actions. Antonio became a member of the street Michael's Fight Club, a group that started with spiritual foundations but eventually morphed into a criminal organization. This club, initially focused on discipline and loyalty, became a breeding ground for criminal activities, including drug dealing and violent crimes. As Antonio's criminal career progressed, he became more deeply entangled in illegal activities. The transformation of Street Michael's Fight Club into a criminal network provided the perfect environment for Antonio to hone his skills and connections. This descent into a life of crime eventually led to his participation in multiple high-profile murders, including those of Brady Dillon in Australia and Wayne Schneider in Thailand. The murder of Brady Dillon. In August 2014, a 25-year-old father from Sydney, Brady Dillon, was brutally murdered over a $2,000 debt. The debt was owed to Bradley's sister, Cassie, by her ex-boyfriend, Adriana Riccio, who had borrowed the money for drug rehabilitation but refused to repay it. Bradley, determined to recover the money, sought help from Antonio Bagnato and his cousin Diego Carboni. On August 11th, Bradley received a text message instructing hhim to meet in a car park below a Tabby in the Sydney suburb of Leichhardt. Unaware of the danger, Bradley went to the location, expecting to settle the debt. However, Antonio and Diego had other plans. They orchestrated an ambush, waiting for Bradley in the underground car park. As Bradley descended the stairs, he was suddenly attacked by Antonio and Diego. They inflicted multiple stab wounds and fired 3 shots from a 9mm Glock. Despite his injuries, Bradley managed to stagger out of the car park and onto Lord's Road, where he collapsed and died. Witnesses saw 2 figures fleeing the scene shortly after the attack. Flight and continued criminal activities in Thailand. After Brady Dillon's murder, Antonio Bagnato fled to Thailand to escape Australian authorities. In Thailand, he tried to create a new life by establishing a gym. However, Antonio's criminal instincts soon took over, and he became deeply involved in the local underworld. He formed connections with various criminal networks, continuing his involvement in drug trafficking and other illicit activities. Despite his new venture, Antonio's violent tendencies persisted, and his actions in Thailand eventually led to further chaos and crime, proving that he could not escape his past. This period of continued criminal behavior set the stage for his involvement in another high-profile crime. Wayne Schneider, the Hells Angels connection. Wayne Schneider was a notorious figure in the world of organized crime. Starting as a methamphetamine manufacturer, Wayne later joined the Hells Angels motorcycle club in Sydney. In 2012, he moved to Pattaya, Thailand, where he established a vast drug trafficking network. His operations involved smuggling large quantities of narcotics between Europe and Australia, making him a significant player in the international drug trade. Wayne's connections and influence in the criminal world were extensive, and he quickly became a prominent figure in Thailand's underworld. His involvement in these illicit activities inevitably led to conflicts with other criminals, including his former associate, Antonio Bagnato, setting the stage for a deadly confrontation. The business and personal conflict. Antonio Bagnato and Wayne Schneider initially had a close relationship, marked by mutual business interests and trust. Antonio worked as Wayne's bodyguard and was also involved in Wayne's criminal enterprises. Together, they ran a gym in Thailand, which served as a front for their illegal activities, including drug trafficking. However, as time passed, tensions began to rise between the two men. Disputes over money and control of their criminal operations created a rift in their partnership. Wayne's demanding and often volatile nature clashed with Antonio's ambitions, leading to frequent disagreements. These conflicts were exacerbated by the high stakes and dangerous environment they operated in, where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal could be deadly. The simmering tension eventually reached a boiling point. Financial disagreements and power struggles turned their once profitable alliance into a dangerous rivalry. Antonio, feeling increasingly threatened and disrespected, decided to take drastic measures to resolve their conflict. This decision set the stage for a violent confrontation that would ultimately lead to Wayne Schneider's brutal murder and further entangle Antonio in a web of violence and retribution. The kidnapping and murder of Wayne Schneider. In November 2015, the conflict between Antonio Bagnato and Wayne Schneider reached a deadly climax. Antonio, along with 4 accomplices, orchestrated the kidnapping of Wayne from his home in Pattaya, Thailand. In the early hours of the morning, masked men broke into Wayne's residence, overpowered him, and forced him into a vehicle. Witnesses later reported seeing the masked kidnappers transfer Wayne into a car. Wayne was taken to Antonio's rented property, where he was bound to a chair and subjected to a brutal assault. He was beaten severely, suffering fatal injuries from blunt force trauma. The details of the assault reveal the extreme violence Antonio and his accomplices were willing to employ to settle their disputes. After the murder, Antonio and his gang hastily buried Wayne's body in a shallow grave in the nearby province of Sattahip. The grave was poorly concealed, leading Thai authorities to discover Wayne's remains shortly after his disappearance. The discovery of Wayne Schneider's body and the subsequent investigation by Thai police exposed the gruesome extent of Antonio's criminal actions, leading to his arrest and trial.
Thai police have arrested 2 people over the alleged abduction and murder of a former Australian bikie. The body of Hells Angels associate Wayne Rodney Schneider was found in a shallow grave in eastern Thailand. A 32-year-old American man and a 26-year-old Thai woman were arrested overnight, and they are expected to be charged with murder.
Following the discovery of Wayne Schneider's body, Thai authorities launched an intensive investigation. They quickly identified Antonio Bagnato as the prime suspect due to his known conflict with Wayne. Antonio fled to Cambodia, attempting to escape justice. However, Thai police, working closely with Cambodian authorities, tracked him down. Antonio was arrested in Cambodia and extradited back to Thailand to face charges. This swift international cooperation highlighted the determination of law enforcement to bring him to justice, despite his efforts to evade capture. Trial and sentencing in Thailand. Antonio Bagnato's trial in Thailand was a high-profile case that drew significant attention. During the proceedings, prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including witness testimonies and DNA samples linking Antonio to the crime scene. The brutality of Wayne Schneider's murder was laid bare, with details of the kidnapping, assault, and burial presented in court. Antonio's defense tried to cast doubt on the evidence, but the prosecution's case was too strong. In the end, the Thai court found Antonio guilty of kidnapping and murder. He was sentenced to death for his role in Wayne Schneider's brutal killing. The severity of the sentence underscored the gravity of his crimes and the impact they had on the victims' families. Antonio's conviction and sentencing marked a significant victory for law enforcement, demonstrating that justice could be achieved even in complex international cases. Extradition to Australia and trial for Brady Dillon's murder. In July 2022, Antonio Bagnato was extradited from Thailand to Australia, a significant step in holding him accountable for his past crimes. This extradition was the result of years of diligent work by international law enforcement agencies, showcasing the power of global cooperation in the fight against organized crime. Upon arrival in Sydney, Antonio was charged with the murder of Brady Dillon, which had remained unresolved for years. The trial for Bradley's murder was a major event, bringing renewed hope to Bradley's family and the community seeking justice. Prosecutors laid out the gruesome details of Bradley's death, presenting evidence that included eyewitness testimonies and forensic analysis. The prosecution argued that Antonio, along with his cousin Diego Carbone, had planned and executed the brutal ambush on Bradley in a Sydney car park. Antonio's defense attempted to challenge the evidence, but the case against him was compelling. The court heard how Antonio's violent tendencies and criminal affiliations led to Bradley's tragic death. After a thorough examination of the evidence and testimonies, the jury found Antonio guilty of murder. His conviction gave Bradley's family closure and showed the relentless pursuit of justice by law enforcement across borders. Antonio Bagnato's crimes left a trail of devastation for the victims' families and communities, underscoring the profound impact of organized crime. His capture and conviction demonstrate the power of international cooperation to bring criminals to justice. Antonio's story serves as a stark reminder of the enduring consequences of a life of crime. What do you think drives people like Antonio down such a violent path? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and check out our other videos.